Hey, what's going on? And this is basically a quick video for pretty much people who listen to my newsletter every week. So if you don't listen to my newsletter or you don't know about it, you can always send me an email at ksamuel.chris@gmail.com. I'll be willing to go ahead and to take your requests or your messages for whatever you want to basically talk to me about. But before I go into that, what I really want to do is that this video is supposed to be for anybody that was interested into listening to what I was saying in the newsletter, but was so long and you didn't want to basically read it. So I left this link at the beginning of the newsletter. It was my too long, didn't read newsletter link. So I decided to go ahead and to start a newsletter. And with the newsletter, I decided to say, why not I just take it a little bit further and to write a book. And the book was going to be about like a nonfiction book based off of me growing up, living, in United States, wanting to go to school and looking to do different things, and also why I wanted to go ahead and actually be an entrepreneur after trying to work as an employee and noticing that to actually have real control over your life, you would need to have some sort of like I guess like your own private business or your own private goals to kind of merge those pieces together. So if you don't know too much about me, I actually spend a lot of time working with software development. So I've been doing that for about maybe I would say almost like 8 years, but in 2014 I actually had like a real like web development job. Not and the other one was there too. I don't want to really say that they were all great jobs, but I was actually going ahead and interested into doing things like building a business, working with other people on like projects that are like more web application based. And I also want to go ahead and kind of merge in like traveling or learning other languages. I just wanted to be able to do different things that grew over time, And in order to do that, you need to have like some sort of, business that allows you to do these things. When I say a business, is that it has to be something that involves the skills that you need to take those things. So for instance, if you are interested in doing radio and you want to be a radio, DJ or something, but you couldn't really get a chance to be on a radio station right off the bat, the next best thing would basically, start doing your own podcast, This way you get a chance to use the podcasting and actually add, the same components that actually make up a radio station also can be added to a podcast. For me, I always wanted to go ahead and build like some sort of like application, but I wanted it to be something that was going to be meaningful or valuable to other people. And I also was looking to go ahead and kind of build something that was actually more around the aspect of like teaching other people and helping other people. And a lot of people don't necessarily understand like how the businesses work or how to run a business online. I mean, even for me, I had to spend a lot of time reading different books and understanding what was the actual components that you actually needed to actually run a business. Programming for a company is totally different than running a business on your own. There's a lot of other pieces I needed to understand, like not just like becoming incorporated, because that's kind of like one of the easiest pieces. One of the things I actually had problems with was how do you get clients? How do you market yourself? How do you keep employees happy? How do you scale your business? When do you know when time to scale? What assets should you buy? Should you buy should you buy some sort of insurance? In certain places or not? It was a lot of things I actually had to go into that, and I feel like it's not really as addressed out there for everybody. So I decided to go ahead and just start my business and learning that stuff and sharing that with you. And with that actually being said, the first thing I actually found out from reading a few of the different books and talking to other people like Pat Flynn's Passive Income website. We have Gary V. Vaynerchuk. We have Alexa von Trobel from LearnBest. She actually was the CEO or the founder of LearnBest for a while. And I spent a lot of time working with other startups too that had these grassroots, beginnings. And I just realized that I could do these things too, but it really takes time, So working the way I'm working as contracting from different times and spending time working on my business on a free time allows me to propel my ideas forward. So that's what I'm trying to get to. That's what I'm also trying to get to as well. Like me talking about my business in public, being able to kind of to get other people who are also successful in their own right, and try to get time to interview them, have them critique my business and what I'm looking to go ahead and do, and to just slowly come up with something that's actually important. A reason why I try to say that, because I don't think that people understand that when you say starting a business, that doesn't mean that you have to have like a product ready to go. It doesn't mean that you have to have all the clothing made up and you're just ready to make those things out. It's more about you have to kind of like find out which audience would listen to you and which audience won't, and you have to find people who are willing to listen to you. And then you can and once you find that out, then you can it's like you have to find your voice, and that's what I'm basically doing right now, finding my voice. Can I write things? Can I go ahead and work a 9 to 5 and then come home around 7, and from 7 to 2 can I still continue to work on my business, and can I go ahead and sacrifice the free time that I would like to use to take care of me or do things for me to actually real focus on my business? Are there smaller things I can roll out that would help fund my business on the long term? For instance, I was talking about starting a business with with investing. Investing money using stocks and ETFs and other fancy terms for investing in index stocks in the long term, and then trying to figure out a way that maybe you were able to raise the money that you want for your business long term, and then maybe in like a couple of years or so, maybe a decade or two, you'll be able to have enough money that you can probably use that to start funding your business. For example, maybe moving to a cheaper location where since your business is online, you'll be able to live in a place for a fraction of what you make in America, and then, or it could be in America, be in other parts of the state, but you can be able to use that, and then maybe find a way to provide value to a group of people based on you being in that location and they're not in that location. But then, a lot of things actually comes up. One of the things I actually find out is that you just have to touch a lot of different things and get a chance to see what's actually out there and what isn't. And also finding people who are also interested in doing the same things you're looking to get done. Whether they're looking to make music, whether they're willing to make clothes, whether they like writing code and making games, or even you can even find ways to make software that would help somebody make their lives easier. For example. But there's a lot of things going on right now where we don't necessarily have like a known path, a definite path. But I do feel that being able to provide some sort of like service to people is a great way to start figuring out what people actually want, and then slowly remove that from the freemium part to like a premium space, and then you'll be able to use that as a way to build an audience, So I'm not really too sure on all the different parts of it, but I do know that this is probably the right way to go. I mean, even if I went ahead and I use my business is basically me getting better at doing my 9 to 5. Like maybe I can go ahead and I can be like a software developer and wants to move into a manager role where I'm actually like managing like people, like hundreds of people, for example. In order for me to prove that I can do that, I can run my business doing that and showing and how I'm doing that in real time. And even if I went ahead and did that for 5-10 years, you would have that experience that you can use. Your business, meaning that your experiences do not necessarily have to come from from an actual job that you're getting paid from. You can actually get your experience from other ways. You know, like you could run a YouTube channel, which is one of the things I actually like about YouTube, is that YouTube is really a great place to try things out and to see what works and what doesn't work. And because everything's online, you could try things out with little expenses. Like for instance, there's these websites, there's these YouTube channels that pretty much provides techniques for saving money, techniques for having a better YouTube channel, techniques for traveling, advertisements, personal fitness, interviewing other people, talking about topics that people aren't necessarily comfortable about, communicating between different nations and stuff, different languages, auto transcribing. The ideas are limitless. But what we really need to do is we need to kind of spend time looking at different things. And eventually you can do this with programming. And that's the whole thing too. Like I'm actually looking at trying to build some small pieces of software, collecting the data that's basically available to us, like Yahoo Finances, Google APIs are available too. There's even some private APIs that are available that allows you to consume data and kind of figure out like, well, it looks like we're moving towards this version rather than over here, and if people can see that you're doing these things on a regular basis, it probably could help you to build that road for success, So that's basically what I was talking about in the newsletter. You can listen to it a little bit more. I mean, the last part of it was actually like topics about some of the topics I wanted to talk about in the book, and some of them were basically about me growing up, working at the age of 16, working at ShopRite, and then working at Blockbuster. And noticing that even though I was working 40 hours work week out of school, even was not enough to actually get, was not going to make money. I was making money, but that wasn't how I was going to get things done. And I noticed that going back to school was also important too. And I've noticed that, my passion to actually, work in in the computer industry or the IT industry was something I always felt was profitable, was thriving. Because the information that you were learning at work could be used to help you do consulting privately, or you could talk with people privately, or you can make friends with other places, or you can make more money because it was just a booming, industry. So those are some of the things I want to talk to you about. So also want to talk about like how my dad owned his own business, and he had like, he had his 9-to-5 job, and he had his private business on the side, and he used that to make ends meet. Those are the type of things I want to go ahead and like talk about. That it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's so expensive. You don't necessarily need to have millions of dollars of capital, like laying around and stuff like that. It has a lot to do about what can you do that provides value to someone enough that it drives traffic, and then it also drives you can also build an income from it. And the cool thing about it is that it really makes sense to actually spend years, if it takes that much time, to actually think about it. Because if you can find it out sooner rather than later, then it'll be something that won't be able to be easily replicated. Even if it could be, only your version will be better. Like there's some people who only drink Pepsi rather than Coke, or vice versa. There's some people who only drive a Honda and they won't drive a Ford. Like it's all types of things. Like you have to bring meaning and value to it. And I think it's a great thing for us to think about, especially with everybody being home right now, that you have that like extra hour, on the train. You can get up in the morning, you can do your workouts. And working out, I definitely recommend people doing that. I also recommend people to go ahead and to read more, and just get these ideas in your head. You'd be surprised at things that comes up. And it's not about like being afraid of sharing this information. It really isn't. Like I actually want people to copy and to be successful. That actually would be great, because this would mean that the ideas that I'm actually saying make sense. It's not like I'm just blowing out hot air. And we're coming up to the 15-minute mark, and I think that's it. And I thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.